Hey there, it's Jessie with The Way We Work. And today I wanted to talk about something that has been on my mind. Last month was Hispanic or Latinx Heritage Month, and I always think that it's important to cultivate curiosity in a respectful way around identity, especially when it comes to intersectionality. So, linguistics aside, and however you wish to self identify, here's a little understanding of mine. I have, for the majority of my life in the US, identified as Hispanic, given that Hispanic refers to relating to Spain or to Spanish speaking countries. And being from the Caribbean, I always felt out of place with South American identities. Plus, the island itself is called Española, which in my mind was how the words connected. So for me, Latinx, or a person of Latin American origin or descent, meant disregarding much of my ethnicity and heritage. When I chose to take a Spanish class in high school, our textbooks specified Latin American Spanish. And if you've never heard Dominican speak Spanish, just know that it is a little bit of a different twang. When filling out any demographic information, I always chose Latinx or Latino, Latina, simply because there was no alternative. But it never felt complete, and after realizing that in the US, Latinx is usually coupled with white, negating the plethora of identities that exist in within the complicated colonialism, immigrant, and layered history that is Latin history. My father's fun go-to fact is that when I started dating my now husband, is that Chinese people have been living and working in the Dominican Republic for 200 years. Yeah, it's a thing. So now living in Canada is the first time that while filling in demographic information, I chose Caribbean, which fits under Black. Again, my identity has shifted without me even really understanding fully what it means. So because I can't claim South American, which is Canada's solution to Latinx, however, geographically, Dominican Republic doesn't really belong to South America, and culturally, it's definitely a different mixture of a lot of things. When I think about even my own personal DNA background, it's a mixture of indigenous colonialism, slave trade, all of those things. So how do you define that, right? And so this is the internal dilemma that people who have multiple identities deal with on a daily. And so not to mention that I had the privilege of parents that were not intimidated into integration. And so I remember my father reminding us, outside we're American, but inside we're Dominican. That which was always questioned by those on the outside. Every time I spoke Spanish, in school or outside, the question was always, are you Mexican? And my answer, no, I'm not. I was born into a republic. And then the inevitable follow-up, oh, is that in Mexico? And so I don't know if it was genuine naivete or a disregard for what the person is telling you, or just a lack of education. Whatever it was, it definitely impacted how I showed up. And so I didn't speak Spanish outside for a while. I basically spoke my native language at home, learning the twangs of my parents. And so, but I met others whose language identity was taken from their parents, and through that trauma, that continued into the next generation. So, yes, there are Hispanic or Latinx people who identify as such, but maybe they don't know Spanish. So that it adds another layer, right? So which identity should I choose? My linguistic, my ethnicity, my geographical, or cultural upbringing? How can I be put in a box when all of these identities affect how I view the world? Shouldn't yours? So remember this when you're arranging spaces for people to come together and connect, whether virtually or in person. How many parts of ourselves are we choosing to leave behind because we have yet to have built the trust needed in order for everyone to show up authentically and without judgment? Is it possible? I believe it is, but it does require work, dedication, and a willingness to make mistakes along the way. Human connection is sometimes difficult and definitely imperfect. And whether it's your first or your 1000th conversation around inclusion and belonging, there's always still opportunity to learn how to make it better. So until next time.